Imagine having a wedding anniversary and nobody shows up to wish you well. Not your closest friends, not the people who stood beside you at the altar, not the celebrities who flew in from around the world to celebrate the day with you. Just silence. Complete, unmistakable, very public silence in front of 4.5 million followers who were all watching. That is what happened to Harry and Meghan this weekend, and that is only one part of what turned into the most chaotic, self-defeating 72 hours the Sussex operation has produced since they left the royal family. The extraordinary thing is that nobody did this to them. No tabloid, no palace briefing, no hostile journalist. They walked into every single moment themselves, one Instagram post at a time, and planted the entire mess in public view. Tonight, we are going through all of it. The anniversary post nobody amplified, the photograph that should never have left the archive, the candle that crossed a line even loyal supporters could not defend. Music. The kitchen that is now being called symbol of the entire failure of the post-royal project, the finish. Politician selfie. The 4 candles on an 8th anniversary cake. All of it, beat by beat. Let's start with the anniversary because that is where the weekend lost its footing. 8 years of marriage. By any honest measure, this should have been the simplest public relations moment of the year. An easy win. A soft, warm public moment the world was ready to give them. The original wedding had a global audience in the billions. The images from that day are some of the most photographed royal moments of the modern era. All the Sussex operation needed to do was post something simple and dignified and let the warmth come in naturally. Instead, they flooded the zone. A multi-image montage tribute video, multiple posts, a new line of branded product tied to the date itself. And tucked inside the carefully selected images posted to 4.5 million followers. Music. One photograph that by every available account should never have left the personal archive. The photograph appears to show Prince Harry on the wedding day itself in what looks visibly like a heated exchange. The interpretation circulating across royal commentary, picked up first by the popular account according to Taz, is that the exchange is with the Wales family nanny. Small children visible in the frame appear to several observers to look wary. The context, given everything that has been reported about tensions on the wedding day around how the children were being treated, has been the subject of years of speculation. The dialogue captured in still frame is now being read by viewers everywhere in the most unflattering possible light. There are 2 ways to read what happened. One reading is that this was deliberate. The Sussex operation has made provocative editorial choices before, and using a photograph to push a narrative would not be new. The other reading, the one journalist Paula Frolick has put forward, is that this was simply a mistake. Frolick's account is that Meghan has a habit of reinforcing a point with too many photographs when one would do and that. The closer you look at the whole suite of anniversary images, the more the operation looks less like a calculated PR machine and more like a single person scrolling through her own photo roll, picking images on instinct with no second pair of eyes reviewing the selection before it went live. Either reading is bad. Deliberate means the operation decided a photograph in which Harry looks unkind is worth more commercially than the warmth of a clean anniversary post. Accidental means nobody competent is reviewing the content before it publishes. And the most widely shared view is that the accidental reading is correct for a specific and important reason. Tom Sykes of the Daily Beast Royalist Substack has reported that the production company has been pared down to a team of 2, that Archewell closed at the end of last year, that what is left is, in the dismissive Hollywood phrase, a label, an entity that primarily exists to attach its branding to other people's projects. In that context, the mis-posted photograph is not a strategy. It is what happens when you do not have the staff to catch a mistake before it goes live. The second pair of eyes that any professional operation has looking over. Content before publication. That resource no longer exists, and the content goes out the door with whatever was in the folder at the time. If it's giving you the full picture that other channels skip, go ahead and hit the like button. It genuinely helps us reach more people. Now, here is the part of the anniversary story that really lands. The Sussex wedding in 2018 was one of the most A-list events in modern celebrity history. Oprah Winfrey, Gayle King, the Clooneys, Priyanka Chopra, Serena Williams, Elton John, James Corden, Idris Elba. The biggest names in entertainment, sport, fashion, and American media all in the same room. 8 years on, the anniversary post landed, and the world watched in real time what happened next. Or rather, what did not happen. Nobody reposted. Nobody shared. Nobody published a sweet throwback. None of the A-list guests put up their own memory from the day. None of the close friends offered a public tribute. Oprah said nothing. Gayle King, who was at the wedding and has been one of the warmest American press allies the Sussexes have had for years, said nothing. Serena Williams, who has been notably more distant in recent months and was lukewarm around the latest as ever launch, said nothing. The Clooneys said nothing. Priyanka Chopra said nothing. Elton John, whose image Meghan included in her own tribute video, did not reciprocate with so much as a comment. Royal commentary writer Queen Esther put it as cleanly as anyone. The world, she wrote, is now respecting the privacy of Meghan and Harry, except for Meghan and Harry themselves. Think about what that sentence actually means. You go from a wedding attended by some of the most famous people on earth to 8 years later, and not one of them publicly wishes you happy anniversary. Not one post, not one story, not one public gesture of any kind. Celebrity friends are professionals. They manage their public presence carefully and deliberately. They know when a major anniversary falls. They know when a public marker is expected from a close friend. They know the cost of saying nothing because in celebrity culture, silence is always a statement. When an entire room full of A-listers, all of whom posted that same week about other personal moments for other friends, simultaneously declines to put a single line up for you, that is not a scheduling coincidence. That is not everyone being busy at the same time. That is a coordinated, polite, unmistakable cooling of an entire social circle. And it happened publicly in front of 4.5 million followers on what was supposed to be the warmest post of the year. And there is one more detail in the anniversary content that the close observers spotted immediately. The tribute video used cake imagery with 4 candles visible on the cake. 4, not 8. This is the 8th wedding anniversary. Either the production team did not count or the imagery was repurposed from a previous anniversary post and dropped in without a refresh. Or the most charitable interpretation, someone thought it looked nicer with 4. None of those explanations is good. Every single one confirms that the Sussex operation no longer has the staff or the discipline to catch the kind of detail that would, in any healthy PR machine, never leave the building. And where did the only visible anniversary tributes come from? Queen Esther noted with the dry humor that lands hardest in this kind of story that the only public anniversary wishes appear to come from airline crew who had reportedly been informed about the anniversary in advance. From a wedding guest list of global A-listers to a tribute roster of flight attendants, that is the social ladder the Sussex operation finds itself on right now. Subscribe to and drop a comment below. What do you think is the most damaging detail of this whole weekend? Now, let's talk about the candle because the candle is the moment even the friendly press drew a quiet line. The As Ever brand has been launching products steadily throughout the year. Jams, honeys, marmalades, branded packaging. The pantry video that opened the weekend's content push was a promotion of the full product line and a direct call to shop the complete range. Lifestyle brands launch lifestyle products. Many celebrities do this successfully, but attaching a new candle specifically to the wedding anniversary itself crossed a line that even patient observers flagged immediately. The Sussex brand has already taken commercial heat for products that appeared tied to the late Queen Elizabeth. Tom Sykes covered an earlier candle situation at the start of 2026 in which a press release had to be quickly rewritten to reframe a candle around the founder's daughter rather than her late majesty. This weekend, the personal connection being used as a product launch peg was the wedding itself. A wedding paid for in significant part by British taxpayers and by music. The institutional resources of the British royal family now turned, 8 years later, into the launch hook for a candle being sold to the public. The criticism on this point has not come from cynics. It has come from people who have been broadly sympathetic to the Sussexes in the past. The argument is not complicated. Some things, even inside a fully commercial lifestyle brand, you simply do not turn into a candle. A wedding underwritten by the resources of the family you have spent 6 years publicly criticizing is one of those things. 3 product releases, 3 rounds of avoidable controversy. In a normal brand operation, a single one of these would have triggered an internal review and a tightening of the approval process. In this operation, by every available signal, no such tightening has taken place. The candles are simply being launched as fast as the team can launch them, and the optics are being managed afterwards through press release rewrites and quiet edits. That is not how a serious lifestyle brand operates. That is how a brand operates when the urgency of generating immediate revenue has overtaken the discipline of protecting the long-term identity. Now to the kitchen. Because the kitchen, Tom Sykes has now argued in print, is the symbol of the entire failure. For weeks, observers have been noting that Meghan's new content was being shot in what appeared to be a single distinctive kitchen. Orange-brown wood cabinets, copper pots hanging from the ceiling. The new as ever promotional video, in which Meghan leans against a window pretending to drink tea with an expression pitched somewhere between seductive and aspirational, was shot, by every available indication, in a continuation of the same rented farmhouse set used for the original With Love, Meghan production. Not the actual Montecito family kitchen. A rented one. A working set. Now ask the obvious question. Why is Meghan, of all the public figures in the world, shooting her brand content in a rented farmhouse kitchen instead of her own? The answer in the column Sykes published this week, titled 8 Years On, Meghan's Taco Bell Kitchen is the symbol of Project Sussex's failure, is the answer the wider gossip world has been edging toward for months. Her own kitchen has not been remodeled. The house was bought in 2020. Parts of it date to a renovation cycle done by a previous owner. The kitchen, by these accounts, has not been touched since. In Montecito in 2026, in a town where the baseline expectation among the wealthy is that the moment you buy a property you remodel it from the footprint up, Sykes was told by a person familiar with the local social circles that the Sussex house is, in Montecito terms, a laughingstock. In a neighborhood where conspicuous renovation is essentially a hobby for the very wealthy, the fact that the Sussexes have not redone even the kitchen after 6 years is a local tell, not tabloid speculation. A local tell. The kind of detail neighbors notice and quietly trade. Now, here is why this stops being a kitchen and starts being a symbol. And it is worth slowing down on this because Sykes's point is more specific than it might first appear. The entire Sussex post-royal project was built on a vision of California living that was supposed to be aspirational. Lifestyle content, quiet luxury, bespoke interiors, the curated promise of a couple who had escaped institutional constraint and were now living on their own terms in exactly the manner Meghan had reportedly imagined for herself for years. That promise required at the very least a visible kitchen worth showing. 6 years on, the kitchen is so visibly not worth showing that the brand has been pushed by sheer necessity to shoot its anchor content in somebody else's farmhouse and present it as the lifestyle. Compare that to Frogmore Cottage, the property that the Sussexes occupied as working senior royals before the departure. That renovation, paid for by the institution, was reported to cost in the region of £2 million. The kitchen was bright, modern, light-filled. Meghan was directly involved in the design decisions and, by all accounts, was actively engaged in the process. So, the lifestyle brand does have a track record of producing a beautiful kitchen when someone else is paying. When the bill has to be carried by the brand's own commercial earnings, the kitchen has stayed exactly as it was when the house was bought in 2020. That is the gossip. Moral of the entire kitchen story. And it is a moral the rented farmhouse video has just written in plain sight for anyone paying attention. The promise of California escape required a budget the post-royal brand has not been able to generate. Sykes's local sources, by his reporting, view the unremodeled kitchen as a significant indicator of failing financial firepower. The kitchen in that reading is not a stylistic choice. It is a balance sheet sitting in plain view where every viewer can see it if they know what they are looking at. And in Montecito, the neighbors know exactly what they are looking at. Now, to the wider pattern, because the kitchen sits inside a run of weeks that should concern anyone watching this operation closely. Australia earlier this year was a polling disaster. The Sussexes flew in for an Invictus-related visit, generated coverage the team described as impactful and meaningful. And yet by independent web traffic analysis, public engagement with Sussex content actually declined during the visit. The official line, that you had to be there, that it felt different in the room, did not survive contact with the numbers. Data does not care how the room felt. During the same trip, Meghan was photographed taking a selfie with a Finnish politician who was facing serious allegations of sexual harassment and racism. The standard vetting routine that any working royal communications team would run before allowing a public photograph with a controversial figure was, by every visible indication, not run. Either nobody checked or somebody checked and went ahead anyway. Both readings point to the same underlying problem. Nobody is adequately managing the room before she steps into it. Then Geneva. Meghan addressed an audience in an empty square in front of the most senior global health official on Earth. And the night before, her own Instagram post featuring her 4-year-old daughter in a wardrobe shot directly contradicted the message of the very speech she was about to deliver. Nobody caught it before it went live. Nobody made the call to pull it or delay it. It went out. The contradiction landed immediately, and the speech story was overtaken before the speech was even delivered. Australia, Geneva, and now this weekend. 3 major public moments in a row, each one generating avoidable damage that a functional communications operation would have prevented. The pattern is the story. Sykes offered in his column what may be the cleanest single diagnosis of the entire Sussex operation anyone has published. And it is worth quoting closely because it captures something that 100 individual observations about individual mistakes do not quite reach on their own. The Meghan and Harry brand, he argued, is in a state of total chaos. Nobody is steering it. One day, it is serious Meghan with the World Health Organization. 2 days later, it is anniversary content set to pop music and a penguin ornament. The two modes do not reinforce each other. They cancel each other out. You cannot be a serious geopolitical voice on Sunday and an aspirational lifestyle influencer on Tuesday and expect either to land. The audience cannot keep up. And the brand, in trying to be every kind of brand, ends up being no kind of brand at all. Paula Froelich, who has covered this story closely and with genuine sympathy for both sides, said something that landed differently from most of the commentary this weekend. She said she was almost starting to feel bad for Meghan at this point. She stressed the word almost, but the underlying observation was sincere. The new as ever promo, the soft focus window pose, the dramatic camera gaze, the carefully composed lighting, was selling Meghan herself as the product. And the audience, by every available signal, is not buying. Froelich's read on the operation was direct. Meghan does not know what the strategy is. The team around her does not know. The flood the zone approach is what you do when you have stopped trusting any single piece of content to land on its own. You throw everything at the wall hoping something sticks. This weekend, by every measurable signal, nothing did. There is one more thread worth pulling on. The Sussexes have been floating the idea of a vow renewal. The framing being tested is that they never got the wedding they truly deserved, that the institution around the original day denied them the celebration they wanted, and that a vow renewal would finally set that right. Now, read that framing against what actually happened this weekend. They had one of the most A-list celebrity weddings in modern history. 8 years later, that same celebrity world declined to publicly mark the anniversary. The strategic question sitting in front of the operation is now visible to everyone. The issue with a vow renewal may not be renewing the vows. The issue may be finding enough people willing to attend. And what of the other side of the royal story this week? King Charles found himself the subject of a rather different moment. While at a public engagement, the king was, in the most polite possible phrasing, targeted by a passing bird. The footage made the rounds. The king's reaction was characteristically good-humored. British folk tradition holds that this is actually good luck, and Charles handled it with a dry, unbothered composure his entire reign has been built on. Separately, the first batch of official documents related to Prince Andrew's appointment as a UK trade envoy was released by the government. No formal security vetting was in evidence at the time of the appointment. Music. Andrew had reportedly told officials he preferred to visit what he called more sophisticated countries on overseas trips. Music. One internal memo records that the late Queen Elizabeth was very keen for her son to take on a prominent role in national promotion. That last line is the politically sensitive one in the whole release. What it means is that the appointment was carried through not on the strength of qualifications, but on the strength of a mother's personal preference. Without the standard security vetting any other public appointment of that scale would have required. This is only the first batch. There are more coming. Every release will reopen the same wound for Charles, who has been working visibly to put the Andrew chapter behind the institution. He cannot rewrite the past. He can only continue what he has been doing, removing Andrew from visible roles, making clear by his own choices that the institution is moving forward differently. Some inherited problems quietly resolve. The Andrew situation, by every available signal, is not that kind. More chapters are coming, and each one will need to be navigated with the same steady discipline the current reign has demonstrated so far. So, here is where the week lands. One side of the family is managing a kitchen that has become a metaphor. A candle that crossed a line. An anniversary that ended in silence. A mis-posted photograph that may be the most revealing image of the entire 8 years. And a promo video shot somewhere that is not their home. The other side is managing the slow drip of documents about a different family member. A passing bird handled with characteristic good humor. And the steady, unshowy, unglamorous work of running an institution that has lasted 1,000 years and is in no particular hurry. You cannot manufacture warmth by flooding the zone one weekend in May. You cannot turn a kitchen your neighbors are openly mocking into the center of a lifestyle empire. You cannot be a serious global advocate on Sunday and sell wedding anniversary candles on Monday and expect the audience to take either pose seriously. And you cannot, by every available signal from the celebrity friends who once stood beside you at the altar, retain their public endorsement when the operation around you has become something their own communications teams now actively avoid. And the silence of this anniversary weekend made that reality impossible to pretend away. 8 years. That is the number. 8 years since one of the most watched royal weddings in modern history. With one of the most famous guest lists ever assembled in a single room. 8 years to get to a weekend where nobody called, nobody posted, and the only public tributes came from airline crew who had reportedly been briefed in advance. The kitchen tells one story about the finances. The silence of the anniversary tells a different and perhaps more important story about where the social relationships actually stand. Both became impossible to look away from this weekend. Do you think the Sussex operation can still genuinely course correct from here? Or is this the week the whole thing finally started visibly unraveling in public? Drop your take below. Subscribe to so you do not miss what comes next. And a like genuinely helps us reach more people. See you in the next one.